You've tuned into another edition of The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the City of St. Augustine works from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Director, Melissa Wissel, The Break Room offers a closer look at the different city departments and provides updates on current and upcoming projects and events. And now, your host, Melissa Wissel.
Welcome to The Break Room. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Melissa Wissel, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. This week, I've invited the City of St. Augustine's Historic Preservation Officer, Jenny Wolfe, to join me in studio. Jenny, welcome back.
Thank you.
So you and I often talk about historic preservation in St. Augustine, more specifically as it relates to preserving buildings and structures of historical significance, something we can tangibly see as being restored or preserved, right? Waterworks building would be an example.
Right.
But there's other sides to historic preservation that are really becoming more and more important that we don't always think of, such as preserving our heritage and our culture. And I think we wanted to talk about that today.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come here today to talk about that, because that's one of the things I think people have a misperception. When they think about historic preservation, they think it's all about objects, buildings. Archaeology is all about artifacts. Well, the whole reason behind all of that is because we want to create an understanding of those past lifeways. And when you think about historic preservation, it's really simpler to think of it about having a conversation with our past about our future. Because we can learn from the lifeways of the past, and we can celebrate the lifeways of the past and still continue traditions. But if we don't recognize what those are and take those into consideration, then some of those can be lost. And more importantly, this year, as we think about the theme of Preservation Month and the Florida Trust Florida Main Street Annual Conference, Reimagining the Road Ahead. I think we can all understand that we've been through a rough year. And so we're trying to circle back and say, let's take another look about what preservation is and try to do more outreach in our communities about sharing important heritage values of our diverse heritage. And St. Augustine is one of those places that has a lot of diversity to celebrate.
Well, and we don't think about in our present moment of where we are today, we don't think about what we're doing now necessarily as being historic.
Oh, right.
We're living in today's moment. To bring back something that was very historic for us, moving the memorial. Someone asked me, how did this affect the city? And I said, well, it was a historic event.
Absolutely.
We were making history in doing that. So, whether it's a positive or a negative, people like it or don't like it, we make history every day. And we don't think about that in 50 years from now or 100 years from now, our present is going to be historic. And so we do need to preserve that so that people know what it was like to live during COVID.
That's exactly right. And preservation really is about documenting that change. It's about managing change. It's not about keeping things at a standstill. It's not about museum quality restorations. It's about making sure that there's enough of that fabric left that you can still see what was there and understand how it contributed to life during those times. So, we've got a lot from this past year to go into that time capsule.
What are we working on in terms of you're mentioning the Florida Trust? You have an annual conference,
right? The annual conference is with the Florida Main Street program, so it's called Preservation on Main Street, and that will be later in July. But the theme is Reimagining the Road Ahead. And because of that, the Florida Trust has created a Historic Preservation Month toolkit that communities can use for the month of May to celebrate historic preservation and use that theme of reimagining the road ahead. So one of the things that we're going to be doing out of that toolkit is adopting a proclamation by the City Commission on May 10th. So that's going to be right around the corner. And during that time, we'll also have an opportunity to announce a new initiative that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing another public survey on historic preservation.
Okay.
Because we're working on an update to our architectural guidelines for historic preservation. So we'll really take that as a keynote opportunity to kick off that project.
How does the survey work? I mean, is that something the community is going to be filling out online? Is it something door to door?
All the above. The last time we did this, we notified people through their water utility bills. So we're going to use that as an avenue, but it's going to be an online type survey. We're going to make sure that we reach out to people on paper, though, so if anyone has accessibility issues, that we're not targeting any specific, limiting any specific audience. But it is open to residents and property owners. And we're just going to get some feedback on where people think we should go with our architectural guidelines in the future.
And that's for downtown, citywide, particular neighborhoods?
In part, both, because the city regulates demolition throughout the whole city. So there's a component of that. But our local design review, where the most intense design review occurs, is in our HP local historic preservation zoning districts that are basically Orange Street, south to San Salvador, east and west from Cordova to the Bayfront. So that's where most of that occurs.
And when you talk about the standards and guidelines, that's things like if I wanted to remodel my house and I live in that area, I do need to have it look a certain way. Or it needs to follow some type of a guideline so it doesn't stand out like it was brought here in the 50s when the whole neighborhood was built in the 1800s.
Right. And it doesn't want to look brand new, bright and shiny. We like that patina of age because it tells a story of time that's easily visible to anyone. So those are both things that are important. And that's how we celebrate our sense of place in St. Augustine of the built environment, not unlike what we were talking about earlier with preservation being about the built environment. But some of the cultural things that I think are interesting to look at. I had the pleasure last month of writing an article for Edible Northeast Florida magazine, which I love because I love our culinary opportunities here in St. Augustine. And especially that there are some that have taken advantage of using an old building and given it a new life. Right. And so in that article, we highlight some special places in St. Augustine that have been able to do that. And I think it helps connect people to not just understanding what historic preservation is, but crossing that line to saying, this is about our community. Right. This is about preservation of our special culinary attributes, the heritage of an old building, but where we come together as a community. And I think with the COVID times, that's especially important now because we can feel so separated from people. Right. And connecting to our community through these old spaces is a way to feel alive again. Yeah, and living in the present. Yeah. So you are listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine, and today I'm sharing The Break Room with Historic Preservation Officer Jenny Wolfe. So also you were talking about the proclamation that the Commission will present at their next meeting. What else do we have going on? So one of the other things that we have going on that the city did help partner with the Historical Society to develop a window workshop. So if you have an old window and your first inclination is to get rid of it because it's bad insulation, it's rotting, well, this is an opportunity to understand how the pieces of those old windows come together and how they can be repaired. And it's going to be a hands-on workshop. So it's going to show you, not that you're going to be able to do your whole house by yourself, but it's going to show you how it's done and show you that it is feasible to help people understand that there are alternatives. A lot of people just want to listen to a salesman come in and they're just going to solve the problem. But it takes away some of the integrity of a building when you just wholesale replace all the windows. So to encourage people's different approaches to treating their windows, the Historical Society agreed to host that workshop. I helped provide the person that can do that through my Florida Trust contacts. So this will be a workshop that we're going to host on Saturday, May 8th, and it's going to be posted on the website of the St. Augustine Historical Society. So it is going to be their event, but I will be attending just to help them where I can represent the city in an educational format for anyone who's interested. It should be a fun day. It's going to be some hands-on. It's going to have some experts there to answer your questions. Some other things that are going on are being spearheaded by the Florida Trust that just happened to be in St. Augustine. Last fall, the Trust was here for an insider tour, and the Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center was kind enough to host the Trust for one of those events. So as a give back for the month of May and Preservation Month, we're going to do some walking tours and some virtual programming events at the museum that will benefit the museum as they develop a Green Book exhibit.
Oh, cool.
So that's going to be kind of interesting to see come to fruition. So be looking at the Florida Trust website to find out when those activities occur, so that if you want to go on a walking tour, want to participate in a virtual tour, you'll know how to participate.
Lots of local things going on. And let me ask you this, the window workshop, is that for me to restore my window in my house, or is it if I take it out and I want to kind of restore it or clean it up a little bit and then hang it as a art, looking like an art. So you're talking about actually repairing my windows in my old home.
This is a DIY window repair workshop.
Okay.
No doubt it is a trend to take old windows. They are awesome. They are really unique pieces of a building, and in themselves are nice decorative pieces. But the goal of this will be to repair a window in place, or to show folks how to take a window out of a sash, because sometimes that needs to be done. It depends on what level of deterioration it has. And you can repair it on site, or if you're working with a contractor, they can come in and take your windows out. Off they go, and they'll come back and put them in when they're fully restored.
Great. One last thing before we go. We are always hearing about grants and funding. Are we still working out with grants?
Oh, yes.
Always, right?
Always. And I can't tell you how lucky we are to get the grants that we have gotten, and we've really tackled some big topics. But right now, just to put it in perspective, we've got over $700,000 in grant funding.
Wow.
That's zero city dollars. So $700,000. There are 5 projects we're working on, and mostly we manage that between 2 city staff, myself and the city archaeologist, because they're comprehensive type projects, looking at our archaeology zones, looking at flood mitigation design in historic districts, so that we can come up with some best practices, because St. Augustine's going to be dealing with that for a while. And our goal is to help provide property owners with some resources to figure out what might be best for them.
Wonderful.
So we're very busy with those projects, and we look forward to having those completed at the end of June.
Okay.
The other one that will be most symbolic will be completion of the Waterworks building. So we do have one brick and mortar project that's been ongoing since about 2014. But right now we're getting into plaster finishes, some repairing the flooring in the old building, and looking at making it open for a good use.
Wonderful. We'll look forward to hearing more about that. When that comes about, we'll definitely have to have you come back to talk to us about it.
Yes, and I can't wait to show you. We'll have to do a tour.
That will be awesome. Would love to see a virtual tour of that. And Jenny, as always, lots going on in historic preservation. It's not just buildings, it's also our culture. And thanks for coming in and talking with us about that today.
Thank you.
As we wrap up another edition of The Break Room, I hope we answered your questions. If we didn't, take a minute and drop an email. You can send that to info@citysainaug.com. We want to keep you informed about what's happening in and around the city, and most importantly, that you hear it here from the people doing the work and making it happen every day. Remember that in order to stay connected, you need to be connected. So like us and follow us on any of our social media platforms. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @CitySainaug. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program addressing projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. Join us each week as the city's communications director, Melissa Whistle, has in-depth conversations with the people who make our town work to meet the needs of our community. The Break Room is produced by communications specialist for the City of St. Augustine, Cindy Walker, and engineered by Flagler College communication major, Lily McNeil. See you at this time next week for another edition of The Break Room.